Hello guys, today we're going over the highest grossing movies of this weekend. Okay, so it's from Frozen 2 to Parasite. And of course, just because Frozen 2 is the #1 movie at the box office doesn't mean that this video is for kids. Not for kids because you go from PG movies to literally R-rated movies. Well, some of these movies are R-rated movies. 21 Bridges is an R-rated movie. And Queen of Swim, I think, is an R-rated movie. So, that's basically it about that. We also have the budgets for most of these movies. So, sadly, Frozen 2 grossed 750 million, 740 million. It's just, why do you guys keep watching these Disney movies? Okay? Why? It's like you guys just don't listen. Okay? I know nobody watches these videos, but you guys pretty much, oh, this is a monopoly, this is a monopoly. But then you guys keep giving them money. People complain, oh my god, Disney's a fucking monopoly. But the only, but you guys are giving Frozen 2 $700 million. So the movie has basically already broken even. It has like $150 million budget. Don't listen to this. Oh, it's only 43 million. That is, look at every other Disney movie. Okay, most of them had $150 million budget to $200 million budget, and up to $260 million, $60 million budget for Tangled, which it's a movie that you would look at it and say it's not that expensive, but then you look at it's $260 million. So the Frozen 2 budget is probably similar to the first Frozen's budget, which if you look at the first movie's budget, is 150 million US dollars. So, and even a movie like Trolls that looks cheap still costs $125 million to make. And the cheapest of animated movies, for example, Pets 2, okay? Pets 2 is only 80 million budget. So that's like the cheap of the cheap animated movies. So for example, Illumination, they probably reuse the same models for the movies, which probably does save them money, time, and effort. But then at the end, it'll give us brand products that they expect people to consume, and it still goes $427.9 million. For example, the Angry Birds movie 2, which the first Angry Birds movie didn't really have a massive budget, so that's basically comparisons. Of course, look at cheap movies. Look at the Wildlife. That only had a $14 million budget, and of course, it's considered one of the worst animated movies of all time. They look at a movie like Up. It took $135 million to create this movie. So Frozen 2 probably didn't take is under doesn't work like under $100 million budget. So because if you look at some of these movies, Madagascar Free, $145 million budget, and it doesn't work like Free Birds. Okay, Free Birds is a low budget animated movie, for example, or Captain Underpants the movie, which it only had a $48 million budget. And people actually like this movie, so you can actually make high quality animated movies with a low budget that people actually like. Like for example, the Lego movie doesn't have a massive budget either. But even some low, like for example, even the Emoji movie can have good looking graphics of only $50 million budget, but the character designs are very minimalistic. We got Frozen 2, the character designs are definitely not very minimalistic. The backgrounds for Frozen 2 is not very minimalistic. So yes, Frozen 2, $43 million budget is definitely ruled out if you look at Disney's more recent movies. Toy Story 3, even that movie had $200 million budget. Coco, that movie had $175 million budget. Cows Free, okay, we can go on all day about Disney movies. Cows Free, Zootopia, called Zootopolis in other countries. Zootopia cost $150 million to make. Run of that, that's like an $80 million budget movie, but you can really see here that even Disney's lower quality movies like The Good Dinosaur, okay, $175 million budget to make this movie. That's how much budget it cost to make this movie. And we have the same type of graphical quality for The Good Dinosaur, okay. Let's go to the more recent one, Toy Story 4. $200 million cost us to make this movie. That's even more than Toy Story 3, I think, or the same as Toy Story 3. So animated movies are not cheap unless you want to make like a cheap holiday animated movie, or illumination movie or a cheap cash grab like Freebirds, which is basically a cheap cash grab, or so basically, or a movie like yes, you can make a good quality animated movie. DreamWorks can, but DreamWorks has a much smaller budget than Disney and Pixar. And Disney and Pixar movies specifically have a large budget. Like, for example, Toy Story 2, it's only 90 million, but it came out in the 90s. Okay, when animation didn't really was really new and they didn't know how much it cost, and you can really tell the lower budget that most of the earlier animated movies have a lower budget. So we're done talking about budgets for animated movies. So yes, Frozen 2's budget is definitely not $43 million. A good quality animated movie can come up with $43 million budget, but extremely well. So Frozen 2's budget, look at if I haven't seen the movie, a scene so or even seen the trailers, the movie doesn't look like a $43 million budget movie. Captain Underpants does look like a low budget movie, but it can still make a low budget anime movie still work. Especially if it's hands-on animation, that would definitely work. But a 3D animated movie, yes, it can have a low budget like $40 million animated movie like Captain Underpants and still succeed. So we're done talking about animated movies. Done with that tangent there. So about Frozen 2's budget. Knives Out. This movie is doing surprisingly well. I was, it is the only new major release, so you would expect to do okay at the box office. But it is an independent release by Ryan Johnson. Okay, Ryan Johnson made this movie. Okay, the movie had a $41 million on its first 5 days, and only at number two because Disney. So Knives Out, it seems to be a massive success at the box office. It's doing pretty similar to several other movies that gross $41 to $42 million. It's Alita Battle Angel, which the only reason I compare it to Alita Battle Angel because it opened very similar. It had the same first weekend, the first 5 day weekend. The movie to compare it to is Creed, which is another very great comparison to this movie because Creed is. I think Creed's actually the best comparison because opened to 42 million, and Alita Battle Angel also opened to 42 million as well on the holiday weekend. And you can see here that Knives Out and Creed are doing exactly the same. So I won't be surprised if they make Ryan Johnson make a sequel to Knives Out because it's becoming a breakout hit. Even though it isn't gonna be a massive movie like Star Wars, it's still a movie that it's $4 million budget here, so it's a pretty small budget movie as well. So we're gonna go on to the other movies. We're gonna kind of flush out the rest of the movies. Next is 4V Valley, which is doing pretty similar to Baby Drive. It had a small drop. I think this movie's gonna eventually make back its money. It's gonna be one of those movies. Oh, it's not really actually a flop. 4V Valley had a small drop from this, and now it's at 81 million. It has a $90 million budget, so so 4V Valley is gonna. I said it's gonna have legs over the holidays, which it will. And definitely, if there's Oscar buzz about this movie, it will definitely top $100 million domestically, which is pretty good for a movie that for example, always says, "Oh, it's gonna be a massive box office fail. It's gonna be a box office fail. It's gonna lose money at the end of this." Because of course, we have comparison between Rhea Battle Angel. I Angel's comparison here. Did I actually compare it to Rhea Battle Angel? I compared it to Baby Driver. That's the movie I compared it to because Baby Driver and Boy Valley had a very similar opening. If you look at comparison between Baby Driver, which is another comparison movie didn't do too well internationally, but did well worldwide, Boy Valley is beating Baby Driver by Baby Driver by it's at 17, so by around 15 million. So expected to enter this box at both Valley's box office one to goes 120 million to 130 million dollars, if it continues grossing ahead of Baby Driver, which is a comparison movie for Vivo Alley in the box office, considering how well Baby Driver did at the box office and how much better than they expected to do, which Baby Driver had a much more budget. Then, so for Vivo Alley does have a $9 million budget, but I think at the end it will eventually make back its money. I don't think it's gonna be a massive flop. It needs, I think it needs like $160 million break even. It's about to beat that point. So yes, Boy Valley is gonna make back its money. It's not gonna be a massive profit, but it's gonna be a small profit for Disney because Fox is owned by Disney, and this was a Fox movie. So yes, you probably once you see this movie on Blu-ray, you'll probably have the Disney cover on it as well. And oh, you don't get no DVD with Boy Valley. So Beautiful Day and Neighborhood had an 11% drop. It had a pretty small opening. It has like a $40 million budget, according to which is pretty big for a movie like $45 million budget, but it's one of those. It's one of those Oscar movies where it's gonna do probably pretty well, have pretty great legs throughout the months. Okay, throughout the upcoming month because of the Oscars and because of Christmas, it's already doing way better than its projections. So I think A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood is eventually gonna make back its money. There's gonna be Oscar buzz about the movie, kind of like Roy v. Ferrari. Queen and Slim. Never heard of this movie before. It's I think it's probably it's a movie that it's just no. I don't think this movie's gonna make back its money. Okay. Oh, it's only $20 million budget, so it might make back its money, but it's one of those forgettable movies that come out, and it's probably gonna be one of those forgettable movies. It might. The only thing that this movie might have going for it, it might be an Oscar-worthy movie, because it's one of those types of movies. Oh my God, it's an Oscar-worthy movie. But if I can see what the Queen and Swim. So that's a new movie. It has a $20 million budget, so yeah, it might be one of those movies that might be nominated for Oscars and stuff. So it might actually it'll probably make back its money if it gets nominated for Oscars. We don't know. It's 21 Bridges. It's another movie that is just not gonna do well at the box office. People are saying that this movie is not a good movie, and it's basically for a very small audience. It's kind of like it's one of those movies that it's just not gonna do well at all. Especially considering it came out before on the same weekend as Frozen 2. Well, 21 Bridges is gonna be a flop. It has like a $40 million budget, so if you don't really realize, this movie has a $40 million budget. If you've seen the last box office video, so 21 Bridges is gonna be a massive, massive bomb at the box office. Next is Playing with Fire. This movie is having pretty great legs, considering that the critics say, "Oh, this movie's not funny at all." But we all know when the critics hate a movie, okay, that a comedy. We all know it's gonna be a good comedy, a good time. And I think that's what people gonna. That's why people are going out in droves to see this movie over the Thanksgiving. I think this movie will eventually break even at the end of its box office run. Which this movie has like a $40 million budget, so it probably didn't cost that much to market this movie. So probably is around $50 million budget total. So probably needs around $50 million to probably $60 million break even. So and Midway. Oh yes, this movie proves all those weirdos wrongs and oh, this movie's gonna be about a flop. Midway is not a flop, okay? I don't know why people are still saying Midway is a flop because people go for on the hundred. Oh, it cost $100 million to make and it's not making back its money. But you can clearly see, oh, it is now. It is $100 million. They did change it, but so it is now $100 million. So Midway is probably a flop then. But Midway, we don't know Midway's actual budget. It fluctuates from 50 million to 100 million. So, but then you look at here, Midway's budget is $59 million. So, if it is only $59 million, I think the movie is not gonna lose money at the box office. But then there's $100 million. Oh, it's $100 million. But again, the marketing, but the budget here might be the $100 million. We don't know if that's the actual budget for the movie or they just put it out. Oh, it's the actual budget for the movie. You know, so Midway. I do not know if the movie will actually lose money or not because the budget seems pretty conflicted. But if it is $100 million, yes, Midway is a flop. Sorry, sorry. People don't watch war movies anymore, and this is why it's don't spend $100 at a war movie because people don't watch them anymore unless it's made by Chris, Christopher Nolan or James Cameron. If it's an unknown war movie about by a creator, no, a not creator, a director that nobody really cares for anymore. It's only known for one movie, Independence Day, and the other movies like Godzilla, and next we're going over Joker, the worldwide box office. So Joker, They said, oh, Joker might not pass Aladdin. Okay, it's not gonna pass Aladdin. Well, it's very close to actually passing Aladdin. If you look at the list called Blockbusters 2019, they kicked out It's Chapter 2 out of this list. You see here that Joker is about to pass Aladdin's worldwide box office. So you can see here that's Joker and that's Aladdin. Aladdin did officially pass Joker, and this is, that's Frozen 2. Wait, oh yeah, that's Frozen 2, because, yeah, Frozen 2 is probably gonna go at Kiel between the Lion King and Toy Story 4, which sadly, proves that Disney has a monopoly over the box office, and will probably gross $1 billion because the first movie was just so successful at the box office. I think that it will probably, I was predicting the movie will at least gross $1 billion just because it's Frozen. It has a brand name attached to it. You know, which means Frozen is one of the only two franchises to have all the movies and the entire series to have $1 billion at the box office. So next is a whole bunch of movies. Last Christmas is not doing too well at the box office. They said this movie is gonna make so much money. Okay, yeah, and Midway. Let's go back to Midway. So even Wikipedia is saying the budget is $100 million. So yeah, it's basically a bomb at this. If the budget was actually, yeah, the movie's a bomb at the box office because they, and it is a source. So Midway down box stock cheap, and there's also another source saying it's over $59 million budget. So you know we don't know if that's the total budget including marketing because some movies do include the whole budget with marketing, but even then you still have to some of the box office does not come. Yeah, studios only get like 60 to 70% of the box office. So yeah, Midway is not gonna make back its money. That could be a major bomb if it is including marketing. It's $100 million budget. It's including marketing over that's the actual budget to last make the movie. So Midway is basically dead at the water. So Last Christmas is actually doing pretty well. This movie has like a $4 million budget. I won't be yeah. It's probably most of the budget probably cost from playing the girl who played Daenerys Targaryen in the movie. That's probably what the 90% of the budget came from. Because this movie doesn't look like a movie that costs like $80 million, a massive blockbuster. So, you know, some of these movies it does cost a lot of money to put these celebrities in it. Same thing with Playing a Fire. A movie that doesn't look that much expensive, but you have to. It's kind of like the budget is really paying the major celebrities being in the movie. Harriet, this movie's having massive ratings at the box office and this movie is now gonna pass $40 million at the box office, which most people I think said this movie is actually pretty decent. So it's having pretty impressive legs, considering it's I think the studio who made this movie should really look at this movie's box office. Focus Pictures, which this movie had massive legs, and make it into a franchise. Because it could be because Harry could be a breakout franchise. We don't know. Unless it's like based off a true story, then it can't really be turned into a franchise. The Good Wire. No, this movie. You know, Odin said, "Oh, this movie's gonna have massive legs," but this movie keeps dropping like 50 to 40%. It's just not doing well at the box office. So it's doing still pretty well compared to its open. It just not isn't making back its money. We don't know the actual budget for this movie. It's like around 15 to 16. It's around like 20 million. So don't see the Good Wire making back its money. Next is Maleficent, Mistress of Evil. Um, Disney. This movie lost feeders in the box office. So Maleficent is gonna might not pass $500 million globally, but it's still a pretty decent success for Disney, considering how poor its opening was. So, I think marketing probably made this movie successful, and all the negative word of mouth and that sorry didn't help the film's box office. Then we had Sally's Angels. It dropped another 61%, and no one's going to go see the movie. Okay, this movie is just not making back its money. It's flopping because no one wants to see this movie. And you know what? I'll talk about this movie in another video because it's just so easy to make fun of this movie. Now let's go back to Mistress of Evil. Okay, sometimes movies, it's kind of similar to the Door movie where everybody's complaining about, oh, it's so terrible. It's saying how bad it is, complaining about the movie before they see it. As compared, Lewis and Mrs. Evil is doing similar to the Door movie in terms of how people will complain about how bad it is and how awful it is because it's gonna be, oh, it's Door the movie. How can a Door movie ever be good? But and of course people saying, oh, it's a pointless sequel and stuff. And most people who went to go see a movie saying it was a really great movie. Besides Dad's reviews, basically that's it about Maleficent. So the last two movies are independent releases. So Jojo Rabbit, this movie is it's probably gonna make back its money at the box office. It's probably gonna gross 20 to 22 million dollars. No one is gonna expect this movie to make bank at the box office, but the fact that a movie about Hitler is doing well at the box office, you know, that these types of movies still do well at the box office is pretty funny. Okay, Jojo Rabbit is one of those movies. Then we have Parasite, which we all know it broke even because of Korean sales, because of South Korea's box office. But this movie's doing really well at the box office, and everybody's saying it's a masterpiece of a movie. It's one. I don't be surprised if this movie actually wins Best Picture at the box office, because people are saying how great this movie is, how it's kind of like a masterpiece. And for some reason, the gross here is kind of screwed down like that. I think they've got to enter, and it's 15. You know, yeah, this movie didn't go down at box office at all. Didn't get adjusted down. So I won't be surprised if for the next 3 months this movie continues making money at domestically, and it only made most of its movie money in Korea. So of course Parasite's not gonna lose any money because it made over $100 million in Korea, and I don't think Korean movies really risk $100 million in movies. So that's it for the box office. Midway is probably officially a flop, sadly. I was saying, oh, this movie's doing better than expected. It's gonna make back, eventually gonna make back its money. But more sources are saying it's $100 million budget. So it's 100 million. If that's excluding marketing, that Midway is dead. Okay, Midway is dead. Knives Out is doing really well, despite which means I don't know how woke Knives Out is. I haven't seen it. I don't plan on ever seeing Knives Out. And Frozen 2 is definitely more woke than Frozen 1. So both rivalities having very impressive legs, which I was expecting it to have very good legs, and A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood is having pretty decent legs, and Midway is still holding on in the box office despite having a small opening. It's funny how Lionsgate's movies based on real life events or war continue to bomb, but they continue making them. Because some of them do actually do well, like Hacksaw Ridge did well, but Hacksaw Ridge didn't have a massive, massive budget, and they wanted to make it like this massive World War II movie, this massive, movie, World War II movie, which, thing is, war movies are not as popular as they used to be. There are a few exceptions, like Dunkirk is one exception. 1917 will be an exception, probably. American Sniper was definitely an exception to that rule, but war movies just don't do well as they used to anymore. That's just the thing about, this movie. War movies just don't make money as they used to anymore. They don't ever make they will never you never see a movie about World War II you know actually be the highest grossing movie because you look at the Lionsgate's highest grossing movies you see here it's all the Hunger Games movies and the last Twilight movie and the other movies are like the Expandables which is probably and Expendables, not Expandables. Now you see me some of the other series, Wonder, which is based off which I think they should make more movies like Wonder, which is based off a real life story, and movies like that, and of course Lionsgate, of course, has been growing, and by year, they have actually declined from the peak days by from the Hunger Games, but I think Lionsgate, I think the problem is they need more franchises. Okay, they have the Hunger Games, but sadly they couldn't make any more past Mockingjay Part Two. They have several other franchises like Saw, which is a horror series. They have the John Wick series, The Expendables, as well. They also have Tyler Perry movies they make, was are no longer being made anymore. So I think Lionsgate just needs more franchises. They just need more series. And I think Lionsgate could become a serious, like actual successful franchises, not failed franchises. Because you look at here, Knives Out will probably be turned into a franchise. Angel Has Fallen is published by Lionsgate, but they're not actually owned. Same thing with Rambo, not actually Lionsgate series. Wait, they made a Sound of Sheep. They actually made another Sound of Sheep movie. Oh, it's not out in America. It made $23 million internationally. But yeah, but you look at here, Lionsgate doesn't really have many franchises. Cold Pursuit flopped. 5 Feet Apart, that can't really be turned into a franchise. Hellboy flopped was their plan to turn into a franchise. So really Lionsgate needs more franchises, okay? They have John Wick, okay, but John Wick is another franchise that is kind of is also on a time limit because Keanu Reeves can only make movies for so much longer because he's in his 50s. Angel Has Fallen is like a wrap up to a trilogy, and of course they have movies like Midway not doing too well at the box office, and Knives Out could probably be turned. So the only movie that can be turned into a franchise is Knives Out. I can really go over the future of Lionsgate. They don't really have much movies coming out later besides a Hunger Games prequel movie that they're making. Yes, they're making because the creator of the Hunger Games is making a prequel to Hunger Games, and Lionsgate say, "Oh look, we can make another Hunger Games movie." Okay, and they have 8 total movies in 2020, which is another Saw movie. Um, Bob and Style, which I don't think is gonna make money, and they have several other movies as well, but they don't really have anything else. They also have the list of announced Lionsgate movies, which they don't have a complete list of Lionsgate movies. And the only 2 movies planned for 2021 is John Wick and a movie about Jesus. So Lionsgate only has like a few franchises, and that's the kind of down. That kind of could be the downfall. Franchises. They only have 2 major franchises: Saw and John Wick, and the license for the Hunger Games, which they have to wait until the next book comes out, which they are making another Hunger Games movie based off the new book that the creator of the Hunger Games is making. You know, and they kind of failed diverge. They kind of made Divergent a failed franchise as well. You can see here, and of course, this is and of course, Hunger Games came out, and that was the highest, most successful movie, and also they came out with Twilight as well. So Lionsgate they can do well, but they need more movie series. So that's about Lionsgate. They need more movie series. They probably will. Event they do have, and they have Saw, and um, they have a few franchises. They have the Hunger Games, which is limited by books. They also have Saw, the entire franchise is owned by them. So they own several horror series, but horror movies are not massive juggernauts unless it's Jordan Peele's movies or Halloween or It. Okay, for example, in 2017, we had John Wick. And they have many horror movies they can make. They have many horror franchises they're making, but Lionsgate it doesn't really have that much other franchises. They also have I think they made the Scary Stories to tell in the dark because they can turn down the franchise, but they really need more. Movies like John Wick. Okay, that's what Lionsgate needs to focus on. Movies like John Wick and and they're really trying to make franchises like John Wick. Okay, Anna. We're trying to make they're trying to make franchises that they can make if John Wick goes away, but it seems that they are not making money because for example, Anna's not making money because I think yeah, because they also have Rambo Last Blood, which is not really a franchise. They distributed it in America. Same thing, Angel Has Fallen is distributed in America as well. So that's basically it. Goodbye.